What's up guys? I thought we could do something a little different today. I've had a lot of people ask me a few times now to review the old 2015 CGI gameplay that Ubisoft put out, and I thought I might as well, especially since I'm waiting on the poll results for the next hero I should do. Speaking of which, in the pinned comment and in the description will be a link to the poll. Go vote if you haven't already because it'll be closing very soon. Anyways, let's begin with the CGI gameplay trailer they did. You know, the one where it was entirely fake and it wasn't even in-engine footage? Yeah, that one. So it starts with our burly player Knight, who is in full plate armor, similar to Lawbringers, a great helm, similar to Warden's, and a flail and kite shield, similar to Conqueror's, but not quite because Conqueror uses a heater shield. Before I go any further, let me just say that I don't understand how they got this right in the concept video, but fell flat in the actual game. This full set of armor may still be ahistorical, as the cuirass is wrong, the pauldrons are massive, and the great helm does not go with this plate harness, but I'll tell you what, this dude looks ballin' as hell, and as the great proverb goes, if you don't look cool, why bother? Last thing I'll mention about his getup is that the shield isn't thicker than a bowl of oatmeal compared to the current game. Our current For Honor has shields that are thicker than most tables you could purchase from IKEA. This one seems accurate to how real-life kite shields would look. Anyways, Conchbringer Warden here just charges into combat way past his own troops. Normally that would be a death sentence, but he seems to have things under control as he just starts clocking everyone in the head with a flail. His entire way past the enemy line, no one decides that it would be probably a smart idea to block their head with a shield. Instead, they all just eat it like a champ and then take a dirt nap. He then gets to the minion, I'm assuming, that is wielding a Danax. That would be a cool replacement for an officer in the main game, so that way all the officers aren't just wielding longswords, but then again, that requires putting in work. They have a little bit of back and forth, but like always, it's just one quick swing and then they're done for. It kind of makes me think that it wasn't an officer, and they were just dynamic minions originally, so that they weren't all sword and shield. I don't know, but it is interesting to think about. Before our resident Chad here decides to stroll up the hill, we get a good shot at what I assume is a Warden all clad in black. It's hard to tell with this bad resolution, but I mean, hey, it's an old video. His helmet definitely looks like an early enclosed helm. If you've seen my Conqueror analysis, then you'll remember that. Honestly, I really like this look. You can also see that he is in Flug Guard, or Plow Guard, which they carried over from their main game Warden as well. Overall, pretty cool dude. Our main guy looks away for a second to take a look at what appears to be 4 of his men advancing. Meanwhile, our lovely protagonist is just standing around, still behind enemy lines, as you can see the enemy soldiers on the right not caring about the plate armor behemoth that stands behind them. Turns back around and our Warden is gone. We then also get to see catapults with actual trajectory and origin being used, not the tactical orbital strike that we have in the current game. The catapult projectile lands with absolutely no sound, so it's extremely underwhelming, but I'm sure they must be proud of those 4 guys they killed. Also, if they aimed a little more right, they would have killed more of their own men than what they were aiming for, but whatever. Unfazed by the murder of his men or the alien abduction of his teammate, our protagonist rushes to the enemy line to presumably take out those catapults. I actually really like this next scene as you see him full sprinting and then block a spear projectile with his shield. The spear guy was so shocked that he just accepted his death.
I never thought I'd get this far.
Next, Chunky Boy here starts clearing out the rest of the enemies, but the last one in particular is interesting. He blocks with his shield and then retaliates with his weapon. It almost looks like a proper and realistic exchange. It's a shame that this is a notable point, but that's just how it be sometimes. Next, our protagonist is just panning the camera over the scenery, and I'm sure it would have been nice if it weren't for the fact that I could count the pixels of this video on my hands. Anyways, now here comes our antagonist for the rest of the video, Axe Viking Guy. Axe Viking Guy proceeds to just wail on our protagonist here, even though our protagonist throws out some wet noodle attacks that we're clearly going to miss. He pretty much just lets this beating happen. It's all scripted, so whatever, but if you guys watch my Shield Hero analysis videos, then you'd know that the best time to strike is when you are blocking with your shield hand, especially if the opponent is using their weapon for both offense and defense. We then switch scenes to a Warden, and one thing I would like to point out quickly is that this Warden is very much like the one we have in game, but this one has a chainmail hauberk underneath his tabard. Honestly, the Warden looks so much better here than in game, which is really a shame as I don't understand how they got this loss along the way. Anyways, moving on to the fight, this scene starts off perfectly. They're fighting on a stairwell, so the height difference is apparent. You can hear the muffled sounds of battle outside. The stage is set. It looks great. Our warden here realizes you can't use something like a longsword with cuts and long strokes, which is absolutely true, so he goes for half swording position to try and go for the opponent's legs. It goes well after a few jabs. He even displaces the enemy, but then he switches the sword and tries to start bashing with the pommel. What? He had the advantage, he was using the sword properly, and then out of nowhere he thinks, this is going too well. Let me switch over to my much shorter and blunt side. He's lucky no one knows how to use a shield here, otherwise when he closed the gap he would have definitely got his head rung so hard it would have turned into a church bell. Looking past that awkward fact, the rest of the exchanges here are actually really good, and it goes to show again that they definitely had someone there doing some sort of research. The last exchange is also really good as he sets himself up for a perfect cleave. We then get to see some knight teammate emotes, something that we don't have in the current game unfortunately. It is immediately followed up by the warden and his knight girlfriend getting dunked on by Axe Viking guy. I don't know where he came from or how no one stopped him, but he's literally carrying the entire Viking team right now. Also, from what it looks like, knight girlfriend is wearing a sallet with plate armor and has an arming sword and kite shield. Deadass chivalrous girlfriend is better than Blackprior/Erzabet, don't at me. Anyways, it doesn't matter because she's promptly clapped as well. I like how the minions just keep doing their job while this is going on and they don't care all the way up until they die. Even the last guy seems confused about what is going on before he ends up getting chopped. We then skip to the knights being in sudden death for some reason. We lost some lore along the way, but I suppose we can make do. We have the warden again with his knight girlfriend. The warden does something a bit over the top, but pretty cool here as he goes up to a minion, displaces his shield, and then uses the downward momentum to chop. This warden has been killing it so far with his moves. It gets even better from here, as the warden does his exchange with what is some sort of pseudo-warlord. It goes really fast, so I'm going to play it once without saying anything, and then go frame by frame. Alright, now for frame by frame, I'm going to try to refrain from using German longsword terms, but sometimes it's the only way to explain things. He starts by throwing out a basic cut, or Zornhau, which is very simple and a reasonable way to engage an opponent. The opponent then blocks and almost immediately retaliates with their mace. The warden sees this and raises his sword to a hanging guard, which sets him up for a cut right after. His next cut is a little bit in the middle, which is usually a poor cut, but it can be excused because he's trying to lower the opponent's defenses, which he does, and then follows it up with an overhead chop to his opponent's head. It doesn't kill the opponent though because of their helmet and instead dazes them. The choreography for this bout alone is honestly fantastic. The Axe Viking guy returns and with a vengeance, albeit a very telegraphed vengeance, and then now our warden has to take on the two of them. He focuses on the Axe guy first, and once he displaces him for a bit, he goes back to daze our Walmart brand warlord again. The warden then switches back to the Axe guy and pushes him back so that he's out of the fight, but Walmart brand warden takes advantage of this, and he gives a full body swing of the mace to our warden. As the warden's lovely girlfriend sees that her senpai is in danger, she rushes to kill the Walmart brand warlord and sends him back to Lumbridge. This unfortunately means that Knight Girlfriend's original opponent can attack her while she is open, and they do. Rest in peace, Knight GF. Again. The surprisingly well-armored Berserker tries to attack our Warden again, but because they can only use one arm at a time, because logic, they are simply no match for our Master Warden, and they die in less than 3 seconds. Then, after finally finding his way back up, Axe Viking guy is back. Honestly, the combat here isn't very interesting as they don't seem to understand Danax combat without making it extremely telegraphed. I'd like to point out that there are a few times where the Warden could have done some fight-ending blows, but there's one point specifically when the Axe guy tries to do a backward swing to the Warden. There's a couple seconds where they were just in a bind, and the Warden is already in the half-sword position. Instead of capitalizing on that, he proceeds to keep pushing him back like it's some Hollywood fight. If I were him, I would put that left arm over and around the Axe guy's neck, and then he's literally defenseless here as his weapon is on the other side. Then with the arm around his neck, that would bring the sword towards his throat. Then all you have to do is just move your arms back and forth in a sawing motion until he stops moving. There's actually a technique that is similar to that in Fiore de Libre's manuscripts, but I forgot the name of it. Anyways, they do a few more exchanges, and then once the Warden is tired of dancing around, he does the most logical thing, which in turn ends the fight instantly. This means that they win apparently, although at what cost? He then proceeds to scream something in the sky, but I could not for the life of me make out what he is trying to say. And that pretty much wraps up that video. I never knew all the small details of this video until I actually had to sit here and break it down. There were more things that I could have said, but no need to draw this video out. Thank you to my YouTube members for supporting me and my content. If you'd like to become a YouTube member yourself, you can go ahead and join with the membership button down below. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, or if you want me to do another one of these kinds of videos, let me know down below. Please hit the like button, or else YouTube says they won't feed my family. If you want to keep up with more videos, subscribe and then hit the bell icon. Insert more generic YouTuber stuff here. Thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all, and I hope you all have a great day. Peace.